Warning: the following episode of the Bubble Chat contains sensitive and/or explicit subjects. Viewer discretion is advised. We highly recommend our listeners that if those subjects make you uncomfortable or trigger some sort of issue for you, to please listen to the clean version of this episode, where at least most of those subjects are censored. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very, very first episode of the Bubble Chat. I cannot believe we're actually doing this right now. I really can't. We're actually here, together, doing a podcast. I have gone from going to Alani's live saying that we would be a perfect podcast trio, and we are actually a podcast trio. Well, sort of, kind of. We'll explain all that later. We hope everyone's having a good Monday so far, and we just want to thank you all for tuning in and listening to us talk about what's going on.
Yeah, honestly, I really can't believe that this is becoming a reality. We're finally presenting the first official Bubble Chat podcast. And it's just really amazing to see Jawan's vision come to reality. I'm so honored to be a guest co-host today, and I'm excited to see what we'll be talking about today.
Wow, this is really happening. I did not know I was going to be adding a podcast guest host to my repertoire. Can't wait to see what the Bubble Chat has in store this season. I really appreciate Jawan for allowing me to give my thoughts on some interesting topics we'll be discussing during this episode.
I mean, I'm feeling the same way, Jalen. I went from being a wave maker to actually a student podcast host because I'm also a full-time college student, so my content creating is part-time as of now. As I mentioned in the trailer, I am a content creator for YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. All of my social medias will be linked in the description below, of course. Now, we already have introduced ourselves in the trailer, but we will do so again for the viewers who subscribe to us for the very first time. So, I'll start. My name is Jawan. I am currently a full-time college student at SF State, double majoring in theater arts and broadcasting, also known as BECA. And I'm also a part-time content creator. You know, most of you may have known me as the Jawan4444 on YouTube and Jawan Johnson 44 or JJ on TikTok. Some people call me JJ, mostly on TikTok. I got that from my English teacher back in high school. I have been watching a lot of daytime talk shows, mostly on YouTube and streaming services like The View and The Real. And I also watch some other talk shows like The Ellen DeGeneres Show, Tonight with Jimmy Fallon, and I'm getting ready to watch the Jennifer Hudson Show and the Sherry Shepherd Show once it premieres. So I have always wanted to bring those roots into something like a podcast, and it has become so mind-blowing, and still is mind-blowing that it has officially become a reality.
Honestly, I couldn't have said it better myself, Jawan. But just for as far as introduction goes, hello, everyone. My name is Alani. I'm so proud to be Jawan's cousin and to be a part of today's amazing podcast. I'm so excited to share stories and invite you all to listen in on these podcast adventures.
What's up, guys? I'm Jalen. You also might know me as Stu Marketing. I'm a digital marketer and a real estate investor. I could not be more excited to be hosting a podcast with Jawan and Alani. To see Jawan take his passion to the next level by starting a podcast is fake way emotional. Jawan happens to also be my little cousin. So, seeing him show that passion and, watching a bunch of, podcasts and just other shows and really just studying what goes with, being either a director or just, creating something. So it was really exciting to see that.
Yeah, honestly, I second that. Again, well said. But now that we've gotten our introductions out of the way, I did want to throw in a little small caveat. So for those of you who may not know, we were supposed to premiere a couple weeks back, but due to some unforeseen kind of last minute scheduling changes, it's actually a long story. We are now starting today. And so I just wanted to take this time to thank you all for being so patient and understanding with us. Since this podcast was listed, we've received 71 downloads, which is so amazing. Woo! And then for the listeners, additionally, for the listeners that subscribed, we thank you deeply. However, if this is your first time listening, we welcome you to the bubble chat. And as usual, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget that we also have a YouTube channel. So if you like video podcasts and would like to support us on YouTube, don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can be notified of upcoming episodes.
Hey, just for shits and giggles, I was born a year before Jalen, so I hardly got to experience any of the 90s, but I'm so grateful that I'm still here and I get to relive what was like when I wasn't born, like the 90s in its entirety. So, I mean, I'm a 90s kid for life. Okay, enough chatting. With that being said, are we ready to start chatting for the first time?
Do it.
Yes.
All right, let's do this. Let's start chatting. For our very first hot topic, as Wendy Williams called it, we all heard the song Teach Me How to Dougie that became a dancing trend everywhere, including the time when I was in the 6th grade. I can't really sing it because of copyright, but you all know. In a recent article on Today.com, a bride and her father shared a dance together performing that song. The bride claimed that the dance is a part of a performance, with the theme being danced through the decades, as the performance consists of the Tootsie Roll, the Hammer Dance, and the Carlton, in addition to songs like Vanilla Ice's Ice Ice Baby. DJ Easy Rock and Rob Bass's It Takes Two, excuse me here, and PSY's Gangnam Style. And so the TikTok video has been viewed 4 million times. I gotta be honest, as a person who grew up listening to 2010s music, I find this video to be so amazing, and it made me want to dance to it. But like I said, I can't really play those songs and dance to it, because of copyright reasons. But I want to know, what are your thoughts on this amazing, heartfelt video? And do you think that this is one of the most amazing moments to cherish?
Joanne, that's a great question. Honestly, personally, my opinion about this video, I thought it was so cute and so touching and heartwarming. I think that a father-daughter dance is already a very sacred thing. It's already something that's super traditional in American weddings. A lot of times it's carried out in a very traditional manner as well. And so there's probably a more classical music kind of vibe, or a very relaxed kind of song that goes with it. And the dancing is just a normal, 1-2 step dance, nothing too creative or too special. And so it was super unique and kind of inspiring to see that the woman, in this case, the bride, her name is Brittany. So to see Brittany like team up with her dad to put together a whole choreography for her father-daughter dance, like that's amazing. Like, who would have thought to do that? And so it's super unique. It was a great idea, and I enjoyed the video a lot. What are your thoughts, Jalen?
Yeah, I also enjoyed the video a lot too. Just seeing the father and daughter, share that moment on her special day, for them to somewhat be in sync and kind of give off each other's energy and stuff like that. It just kind of reminds me of what I would want in my wedding.
Jalen, real quick. Would you think Kendall and Uncle June would have a daughter-father dance? Because when we were little kids spending at our grandma's house, we honestly would see Kendall see your daddy and be like, "Daddy, Daddy," and they like hug each other. So I really wanted to see that in action.
I mean, that'll be something that we'll see it maybe, but it's just my dad doesn't dance and Kendall doesn't really dance. So it's just that's what I mean in that aspect of we probably won't. You never know. Kendall surprises me and my dad surprised me. I know my dad, he got this little 2-step. So, and then Kendall, I've never really seen Kendall dance ever in my life.
She used to be my ass and just dance. When we were at our mom's house, me and Kendall would do a just dance battle. I used to I used to get just like one
Oh,
or
I
two
do. Okay,
stars.
I also remember that too. Remember we used to play the Wii as well. A
Yeah.
lot of
I
Mario
was just
Kart.
about to say, was it the Wii that you guys used?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
yes. The
You
Just
brought back
Dance
a
was
lot of
available at the
memories.
Wii at the moment, because we didn't have a Nintendo Switch back then yet. And
Right.
I actually started my Just Dance journey, Just Dance 3. I remember only getting like 1 or 2 stars to actually now just like getting 5 stars. And I remember me and Kendall playing it together, and she beated my ass. She used to beat my ass on this game. But then on I played this game alone, except I would be like the megastar, and every time I have some friends over to play this game with me, I always beat them.
Well,
And
they do say
Nintendo-
that practice makes perfect,
I
Joanne. So you got in that extra practice. See, that's all it was, you know.
Yeah,
I wonder if Kendall, what if she, tunes in, if she would ever want to put in a comment about her dance
for
experience
sure.
with Just Dance. I'm interested to hear her
yeah.
story too.
And I really think that this is a very important moment to cherish because not a lot of people ever had this opportunity, and I think it's really imperative that we don't take it for granted. And because like I said, not a lot of people have this opportunity. I started becoming more aware of gratitude right in 2020 when a few months when the lockdown began. And I think
Yeah.
this is really one of those moments that we all shouldn't take for granted. I also saw this one episode of iCarly. Well, before it got revived. Before it got revived, it is now on Paramount Plus.
Oh yeah.
Where it was the final episode on Nickelodeon where Carly's father couldn't make it to the father-daughter dance, and Freddie and Gibby.
Gibby, Gibby.
I mean, they're not Father Freddie, but Freddie and Gibby try to make up for it, and then she just becomes more miserable, and she got to spend time with her father, not only just for the father and daughter show, but also on her trip to Italy. Because I think that's how the episode ended, and they said that iCarly was going to take a break, and it's not goodbye, and but yeah, this is definitely one of the most cherishable moments that we ever have seen, and we are forever going to cherish moments like this.
Yeah, I think that you brought up a really great point. That is a super important moment to be cherished, and I really liked reading a little bit more about this story. How Brittany had talked about how other people she initially posted the video on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And other people on TikTok, viewers, were very open, and they commented about how this either resonated with them. So like in their own personal life, if they were able to have a father-daughter dance, some of the people even were really open, and they said like how their father had passed away, and how it was still super heartwarming for them to be able to see her share this special moment with her dad. And so you're right, this is definitely not something to be taken for granted. That's a moment that not everyone does get to have, and so to be able to see it highlighted so beautifully in Brittany's like video, and more so just throughout her entire experience of it, I think that's amazing. I also think that it kind of makes me think about how music can help us connect with people that aren't necessarily in the same generation as us. What do you guys think about that? Like, how do you think music played a role in this?
100%. The music brought out the trend, which is the Dougie dance. So it's like when you hear the song and you have the dance to go with it, it's more so it's a culture thing. Even with just the barrier of generations, in a sense, we have so many platforms to where, especially TikTok is really taking over. Everyone is seeing trends throughout the platforms. So it has a lot to do with not only the song itself, the dance, and then also the platform in which we're seeing all this kind of go down. So that's more so like my thoughts on that.
What do you think, Joanne? How do you think music plays a role in us connecting with people that might be in different generations than us?
It definitely has, Kalani, and I got to be honest. I remember when I first started getting into music, I was like, okay, these are just songs that are just like, fun, but now, as I started working out, there's like a themed music, like it's like motivational. Is like if the lyrics like represent like they're like telling you to like keep going and don't stop. And
Right.
I remembered first experiencing that when I was doing Apple Fitness Plus workouts, because and it launched right in 2020, and everything was still closed, but everything like seems to be going back to normal. But this is also one of the most memorable things. And I remember when I started walking and listening to some music and listening to Time to Walk. I remember when I first listened to Bibi Rexha's audio. She talks about, by the way, shout out to Bibi. I love Bibi Rexha. I love her so much. I listen to her songs. She's been so amazing. She's been an amazing role model. She talks about recently how she was in a band, and then after a little while, she was let go from the band, and she went to a depression.
Oh, wow.
And she went in, and when she was walking with her father, she went to the internet. There was this one quote I don't know I don't know what that quote is, but it has something to do with monsters under the bed, and she wrote the song "Monster Under My Bed,"
Wow.
which then became an Eminem and Rihanna song. I can't sing it, because of copyright. But you do know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah. Like it was like the monster wasn't the original Eminem and Rihanna song. It was a demo song written by Bibi Rexha.
That's how it always is. It always starts off as a demo. Maybe the song didn't pop with the original artist, and someone else could portray the song better than someone else can. It sounds better vocally. That happens a lot too.
And another thing about it too is that when I was watching the real Adrienne Houghton, she mentioned one thing about one of the Cheetah Girl songs. You guys remember the Cheetah Girl? But one of the songs, Cinderella, it wasn't actually the Cheetah Girl song. It was originally from a girl group named I-5, and then it became a cover for another girl group named Play. And when I first like listened to it, I was like so mind blown. I was really mind blown that because I thought it was like the Cheetah Girl song at first, but then I was like, wow.
Wow, I had no idea about that. That's such an interesting fun fact, honestly. But let me think. What's my answer to this question? I think that music is such a powerful thing. Honestly, it's not just fun to listen to, but it really can be a tool to bridge kind of a gap between generations. I know for me growing up, there's plenty of songs that my mom played for me that didn't necessarily come out when I was like, a little kid. That came out before I was even born. And by listening to those songs with her in the car, like jamming to the radio or like throwback stations, I think, what is it, 102.9 KBLX?
102.9 KTLX?
Yeah, or something like that, right? Like,
I don't know the actual title, but I did remember.
Yeah, you ever remember listening to like old school jams on that radio station? Even though it wasn't from my time, I still super enjoyed them, and I feel like when I hear songs like that, and I'm like, whether I'm in the store, and it just happens to be playing in the background, it makes me think of good times that I've had with my mom, or good times that I've shared with my grandparents, or people that are a whole different generation than I am.
You brought up a really good thing, Alani. And one more thing before we move on to the next topic is that you really brought up a good point, Alani. I mean, I remember when I was 8 years old, coming home from elementary school, and I was in his car, and he would play this song called "Sexy Can I" by Ray J.
Oh yeah,
and it was one of my favorite songs. I fell in love with the beat. I fell in love with the melody, and it still is my favorite song. So it doesn't used to be my favorite song. It still is my favorite song. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
No, it's awesome, and music is just such a powerful thing. So I thought it was so beautiful that she was able to like take these songs that kind of like mashed across different decades in a way, right? Because we had the Dougie, but then we also had what were the other dances? I think it was
the whip, the nay
oh yeah.
the whip, the nay and
Tootsie Roll in there, the Carlton, and the Tootsie Roll and the Carlton came, before our
time.
time.
On a beat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right. And so she had
those,
some that came from like before our time, and then other more recent dances like what you were talking about, Joanna, the name, all of that. So yeah, I thought that was super clever. I think it inspires me, for one day when I get married. I don't know if my dad's as active as her dad is, my dad's a little bit old. I don't know if he'll be moving and grooving like that, but it was super cool to see see the TikTok and also to hear her story. Before we move on to the next topic, though, I had one last question that I thought would really kind of connect this all together. I was wondering when I read the article, I was kind of thinking like, I know this was done through TikTok, but would it have been as big, or do you think it would have been as big of a sensation or as big as a story if it was done or broadcasted on a different social media platform? Or do you think TikTok played a really big role in this? Like, how do you guys feel about that?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not just TikTok, it's on every social media platform like Instagram, YouTube, regardless of the copyright is. It really has. And I remember when Vine was trending. I remember the music connecting with those videos. As of now, it's shut down. But I did remember that it's not just one platform. It's just more than one social media platform.
Yeah. I noticed. Well, I would say it has a lot more so do with TikTok because of the overall brand. Things more so go viral on TikTok first and then transition to all the other platforms. So I think what it is they wait for it to go viral, and then once it goes viral on TikTok, it's more so validation for it to go viral on all the other platforms as well. Everybody wants a piece of that monetization. Channel can take another page's video and whatnot, and they could get paid from that as well. So, but something that I've noticed in the past is things going viral on TikTok. Once it gets that TikTok validation, then it goes to Instagram or Facebook or etc. YouTube,
No, that's huge, definitely. And like, I think what's also really cool about this with it on TikTok was that another thing that Brittany had mentioned when she was being interviewed about how her and her father Kelly got to this point of actually doing the choreography for the father-daughter dance was initially she's actually a dancer. And so she was already making TikToks that had to do with dancing. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but back when the pandemic had first hit, TikTok dances were the hottest rage. It kept
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
It kept everybody
Savage Love.
Yep.
Yeah, like I'm a savage. Like all those.
I feel like the dances now.
Copyright.
Yeah,
copyright.
Right.
Oh yeah, they still have like the trends and dances to this day. It just takes a while for people to notice the trend and to be interested in wanting to learn how to do the trend as well.
And I think.
Go ahead.
And I think those trends has helped them get through the lockdown because we were all locked down in 2020. Started moving forward. We were all locked down, so it wasn't even possible to go to a movie theater. It wasn't even possible to go to a concert. So to see those trends on TikTok really, really uplifted everybody's day, and then everyone started getting into it. And that is one, and I'm not gonna lie, that is at least one of the most things that I missed about 2020. I did not miss the memories of the lockdown. I didn't, but I do. But watching those TikTok videos, the trends really, really helped me get through the pandemic. And I mean, that's even how I started my TikTok journey.
Yeah, a lot of that just had to I know when the pandemic hit, everybody realized they have that more so time aspect because people aren't going to school because the virus can spread there. People aren't going to work. So when they're home, they're thinking of other creative ways to use their time more wisely, and not even, it doesn't even have to necessarily be wisely, just to use their time. So, you get people doing more creative stuff, like maybe an artist is, if it's a musical artist, maybe they're writing, maybe they're producing. As for you, Joanne, you came up with the idea that you wanted to start a podcast, or you did your YouTube animations as well. It gave people had a lot of free time to kind of do things that they usually wouldn't do, based off of them now having more time, if that makes sense. So, yeah, a lot of stuff, played a factor into, the trends on YouTube and whatnot. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. I remember all the fun TikTok dances. Like at that point, I was even trying to get Jalen to do TikTok dances with me. It was so
That's not happening.
I have some like hidden footage, I'll show you later, Juwan.
Please do.
You know what? I wake up and I see Alani just practicing dancing in front of the mirror for hours.
I was.
That right there.
I was.
I'm like, all right, well,
it was embarrassing, but I was doing it. I really was, honestly. It was so much fun. It was good exercise, honestly.
I wake up, she's still practicing. It's 5 hours. Joanne on SpongeBob, 5 days later. Alani, 5 hours later. She's just dancing still. I'm out. And she's like, yeah, come on, let's do the train. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I tried to get him to do some too, Joanne.
TikTok, oh my gosh, like, we can get views. She doesn't really be tripping off views or nothing like that. I added that in. But my
brother would immediately say no every time I tried to get him to do a TikTok video. Like, he would literally say no.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Okay.
I think I only ever did one trend with her, and that was a little Chris Brown.
He did. I taught him every move, Juwan. Like, I don't know if Jalen remembers.
Got those moves to this day.
But like, we had some good moves. We did. And man, I don't know if I have that video, but I'll show you some other videos later, Juwan. I got you. But yeah, no, TikTok, sorry, get back on track.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Excuse me, everyone. Get back on track. TikTok is amazing, as an amazing platform for dancing. And so it was so great to see Brittany and her dad use the TikTok platform for that. And as I was saying earlier, she had mentioned that during the pandemic, she was initially living at home with her dad. And so since she's already a dancer, and the dances were trending, she was doing them herself. And then there were a couple of dances where she needed a partner. And so that's what helped her to transition into eventually, dancing with her dad. And I believe that she mentioned that her dad came from a very like traditional Asian background. And so dancing and doing dances like the Dougie wasn't necessarily a part of something that he was particularly familiar with. But the fact that they were able to do dances like that together really brought them together and helped to grow their relationship together. And so I guess my final question is, how do we think that doing activities together as a family or with friends helps to grow relationships? Have you ever experienced that yourselves, like doing an activity with someone you love and that helps to build your relationship, or doing an activity with somebody you don't know and that helps to grow a relationship? Have y'all ever experienced that before?
Oh yeah, I'd say 100%. It's always that point in time to where you may not have been in a position where you're talking to your family member. You know how that is. It's due to life. Maybe someone may go to college somewhere else, or they live, a little further or whatnot. But maybe you have like a little Thanksgiving meeting, or not meeting, but Thanksgiving
dinner,
whatnot. And you've seen all your cousins that you haven't seen in maybe about 2 years, 3 years, and now they have new ventures. Like they have a new job, or they may have majored in something different. Get you into talking, and from there on out, you guys may have some similarities in which you may have never ever even imagined. Because of you just not really being in contact with your family members. So I truly think that being together in a setting with your family most definitely a mix of creating that bond with your family and whatnot. So
and I think one thing is that I was listening to an audio on TikTok from Fast and Furious, I think either 9 or 7 or 8 or mostly Fast.
There's so many. Who knows which one?
Right.
And there's this one quote from Vin Diesel where he says, "I don't have friends, I have family." And I think I started realizing that when I didn't even realize it when I was in the fifth grade. When I was in the fifth grade, I built so many friendships. Like when I was in elementary school, I built so many friendships from friends, to staff members, to teachers, and it really, really creates that bond, especially in those activities like you just mentioned, Alani. You know, and I still do it to this day. Like I recently was in a set design class. I'm still enrolled in that class. Where our instructor taught me how to use a bandsaw, and it was more so of a friendship. And I'm forever grateful for moments like this. You know, it's just, and I think it's just something. As long as we keep it G-rated, you know, then you are good to go. You know, you can be friends with your teachers as long as just keep it G-rated. You know, don't take it to the extreme.
Right, of course. Always keeping it appropriate. Of course, I see what you're saying. Definitely there, Juwan. Yeah, I definitely feel like doing activities, especially like dance, can really help to form a bond or to strengthen a bond then that may already exist. As y'all were talking, I was trying to think of a story for my own self. I believe for me, I definitely can say my activity wasn't really dance. I played soccer. And so growing up, I played soccer for a long time. And I think that the fact that my younger sister and I played soccer together really helped our bond to be a lot stronger. Yeah, when we were growing up, where my sister and I are only a year and a half apart. And so when we were growing up, there are certain age groups for soccer, for example, 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds can all play together. But if you're 12, obviously you have to be in a different age group, right?
Right. So, Lonnie, real quick. So you were born just like Jalen. You were born in '98, and was your sister born in '99?
Yeah, she was born in '99.
And you were born in '98.
Yes.
Me and your sister barely got to experience the '90s.
Us too.
I know.
We had 2 years. Y'all had 1 year. Who remembers when they're 2 or 3? You know,
I still count myself as '90s.
You got a good.
We still made it, Juwan.
100%. We're 90. Yeah, we're 90s babies, but it's just I don't really remember much. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. If we're all looking at it mathematically, you were born in '99, Juwan, and then Jalen and I were born in '98.
Right.
My sister, like I said, was also born in '99. But yeah, and so we had to play soccer together. And so that helped us to, even though we're in different grades and different classes and stuff, when we got to play soccer together, that was our special time to bond. She was always my partner for warm-ups and stuff like that. So I feel like that really helped us, and doing intimate activities like dancing or playing sports or even just being classmates with someone can really strengthen a bond and can really bring you close. And so to bring this back to the father-daughter wedding and their dance, it was beautiful to see Brittany and her father Kelly strengthen their bond. I think she said something along the lines of he had always got to see her grow up, or he watched her grow up, but it was amazing for her to be able to actually watch him grow in seeing them do this together. And so it was a beautiful, beautiful story. I honestly really enjoyed it.
Okay. Shall we move on to the next topic on a more so of a serious note?
Yeah.
Yes. So up next, we're going to talk about a slightly, like Juwan said, a slightly more serious topic. I believe it was previous Tuesday. Former Louisville police detective Kelly Godlett pled guilty to a count of conspiring to commit a civil rights infraction on Breonna Taylor to which included the fact that he falsified a testimony for the search of her apartment. As all of you know, on March 13th, 2020, EMT Breonna Taylor was fatally shot unfairly at the hands of police on a no-knock warrant. According to Courier Journal, Godlet admitted that she falsely claimed a postal inspector stated that Taylor was getting packages from her ex-boyfriend at her apartment before the raid. And so the postal inspectors claimed that there was not one mention of evidence showing that Taylor had received packages at her home. Evidently, Godlet faces no more than 5 years in prison, in addition to a $250,000 fine, as of her sentencing is set for November 22nd at 1 p.m. What are your thoughts? What's everyone's thoughts on the sentencing? What kind of action and accountability do you think there should be in law enforcement or in the law enforcement industry? Breonna's mom, Tamika Palmer, had to fight for 874 days to get these officers charged. So that in itself is just, it's a lot. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
This is the kind of situation that just needs to keep going, Alani. Those officers definitely need to be charged. They should have been charged ever since they first killed her. And I really think and I also think that the fact that the officers have been charged and this detective was also pled guilty, none of this will ever relieve any of the pain that her mom had to go through. And I just can't imagine that pain, of what it was like to lose her daughter, especially at such a young age. She was 26 when she was fatally shot. And, and I think, most of the time they'll do a little bit of something to make us satisfied, but absolutely fucking not. We will not be satisfied until those officers are charged. And I'm getting sick and tired of this unfair justice system that we're seeing in our country. I really am. And to see all of this happening finally shows that this fight is far from over. And I just hope to God that it continues to be this exact same situation as of now. I think it's been at that level. And if there's anyone like, we just got a lot more work to do. We really do.
No, I 100% agree with you on that, Juwan. I think it's sickening that any person within law enforcement could make up any sort of false testimony or falsified testimony in any way.
And that's the problem too. They think that because they have the badge, they can get off scot-free. That is not going to happen at the slightest. You having a badge will not let you get off scot-free. The badge is. I really don't know much about law enforcement. I'm not a police expert, but I don't have to be to know that badge is used to protect and serve. And to see those officers abusing that authority is really, really sickening and just downright disgusting.
Yeah, man, this detective that was kind of behind it all, I feel like she was the culprit of all this happening. The fact that we have, actual evidence of what's going on. And I feel as if all of the officers that's being charged, it's not enough. They're not going, I don't know. I feel like they should spend more time, in prison, as well as the detective, 5 years and $250,000 fine. Like that's it. The police department's easily probably paying that $250,000, if not already have paid it. And, I don't know. I just think it's sickening. Something that's happening in our country, and it's like, as far as the police officers, detectives, and all that stuff. Those are people that we're supposed to look up to, to make sure that each person is held accountable, and to
absolutely,
and to see the detective, kind of set up the play for these officers to kill Breonna Taylor, if not tried to kill Breonna Taylor and also the husband or the boyfriend. I just think it's sad, you know. I was doing some research a while back, and I think it had a lot to do with, you know, them or the law enforcement trying to get more so minority people out of the apartment complex. So they're trying to do raids, find anything that they can find in order to, you know, evict them, or in a sense. So it's just pretty sad. Like, if you really have the full context and what was going on and what happened, it's just really something you don't even want to. It's a sad topic, you know.
It really is.
So
it is.
unfortunate.
It is. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. In a lot of ways, it scares me a lot, because to think that in this case has received substantial media coverage, right? But to think of all the cases that have gone by throughout the years, decades, you know, who knows how long, that may not have received this much media coverage, and so are not being investigated this thoroughly. To think that anyone in law enforcement, in this case, for example, the detective, could falsify anything at any time. Like, where's the trust in that?
Absolutely.
It's completely unreliable. And these are the people that we're supposed to be entrusting to protect us. We're entrusting our lives to, right? And so it just scares me, because it makes me think this could have happened in so many other cases. This could be happening.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and here's the thing about this. When it comes to me, Breonna Taylor's mom situation, I honestly cannot imagine the struggle that she had to face when she was fighting to get justice for her daughter for that many days and for that many times. And some people, they're not like happy with because I think the officers were only faced with civil rights violations. Some people were like, at least they're charged with something. Others were like not happy. So my question is, do you think these officers being charged with civil rights in violations is enough?
That's a great question, Juwan.
No, I think they should get life. You know, honestly. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, because it's like, it's the most evil act you can do. You're setting up somebody that you can't find. You can't find anything on them, so you try to plan it. You try to make it happen, and that cost someone their life. People knew about this, and they continue to lie and try to hide stuff. So it's just like, if you think about a citizen like me, if I was to make that happen, or I set someone up, or I go into someone's home unwillingly and just kill them, or try to set some drugs up and call the police, and, hey, look, they got this here, they have this here, come get them, come evict them. Like, that's not a good act, you know. That I would go to jail for life because I killed somebody.
Absolutely.
I have family members who have, you know, gotten in some trouble and have gone to prison for way worse crimes. I mean, less worse crimes, you know. So it's just, it's really just sad to see what type of people can walk away from these scenarios. And
absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
And we're gonna move on after what I'm about to say. If anyone else is okay with it. I really think that excuse me. On a more serious note, I think everything you've been saying, Alani and Jalen, just proves that there are consequences to your unacceptable actions. Like, no matter what role model you play, you're not going to get off scot-free of your actions. Your actions have consequences. For example, and this is a good example that was brought up to the real daytime. You know, like, we teach our children, time out, go stand in the corner, go stand in a chair. And when they like become pre-teenagers and teenagers, you're grounded. You can't have this, you can't have that, you can't go to this, you can't go to that, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then when you like become an adult, you're like, and then when you become like an adult, you're like suspended or fired or terminated. And that just proves that if you do the crime, you do the time. Yeah. And that's something that needs to be happening in the law enforcement industry. And I hope to God that this happens right away.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's a great point. I'm sorry, John. I just had one more point before we move on. No, that's that. Just to kind of piggyback off of that, even if you do something on accident, right? Like, it's crazy to think that that their alleged accident in this case led to someone's death, right? But that does happen, and for civilians, they still pay the time. I mean, even if someone is driving and God forbid, but they hit a pedestrian and the pedestrian passes away, they're still charged with a certain degree of manslaughter. I think it's involuntary manslaughter. It was an accident, but somebody still died, and that person driving the car would still be held accountable. That would still have repercussions to their actions, even if it was an accident, because it ended up in somebody dying. And so even if we were to say that, oh my gosh, the police did this by accident, it was an accident, you still have to own up to your actions.
1,000,000%.
You still have to, reap the repercussions of that action. And so I think that, like, even if we were to look at this, with trying to make it like as innocent as possible, it's still like, you accidentally did the crime, so you need to do the time. That's just what it comes down to.
All right. I think we can move on to the next topic. I think we're ready to move on to the next topic, Jalen. That is, if Alani's okay with it.
Oh yeah, I'm good. Thank you guys for hearing my point. Go
so
ahead.
Let's move on. So, well, actually, before we move on to our next topic, our next headline, we would like to take a moment to send our condolences to the families of Queen Elizabeth II and families of David Arnold, who recently passed away a day apart. Elizabeth II was the longest reigning queen of England in British history, and she was awarded for British design, hosted by the British Fashion Council from the Duchess of Cambridge, and she has ruled her role as queen for 70 years.
Wow.
As for David Arnold, he started out as a stand-up comic to perform at the Montreal Comedy Festival and Jamie Foxx's Lollapalooza. He also wrote comedy series such as Meet the Browns and Tyler Perry's House of Pain. He was also one of the Black showrunners in Hollywood while creating an executive producing Nickelodeon hit series, That Girl Lele. May both of them rest in peace, and condolences go out to the family and others affected.
Yeah. Yeah. May those. Yeah. We on behalf of the Bubble Chat, we are sending Queen Elizabeth's family and David Arnold's family, so many prayers and just so much love.
Yeah, definitely sending out condolences to both of those families.
Yes. Also, I'm going to move on. So, also, it looks like there were no charges in the fatal shooting of Rayshard Brooks. This next story has many people demanding for answers.
Absolutely.
An appointed prosecutor announced a decision to drop the charges against Officer Garrett Rolfe and Devin Brosnan, who were the two white Atlanta police officers that ended the 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks back in the summer of 2020. Sorry about that. According to TMZ, prosecutors Pete Scandalakis doesn't believe that the shooting had anything to do with race, framing the shooting differently than the deaths of Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd. This prosecutor claimed that those officers faced a dynamic situation that was evolving quickly. What are your thoughts on the prosecutor's decision? And do you think that justice has truly been served? What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that, guys?
I'll start, Jalen. I gotta be honest. To this day, I'm still at a loss for words about this whole thing. There has been a lack of, kind of like what I said, there has been a lack of understanding and honesty and integrity of the justice system, and I really, really think that this is something that really needs to stop. And I really cannot imagine the pain that Rayshard family has been going through, especially to this day, that now that no officers have been charged, and really, I'm just speechless at this moment.
I think that I feel the same as Joanne. It's really hard to put my feelings into words about this particular case and situation because I feel like I've seen it so many times now. It's like it's traumatizing a little bit actually. It's like there's no way that I can tell this story and I can't see how it mirrors the deaths of Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how you can I don't know how someone can sit and hear the story, tell the story. Either way, it's like you don't see the similarities here. Like we're gonna continue to act as if we don't see a common factor. It's again sickening. It's mind blowing. It's depressing. It's depressing, honestly.
It really is, and
we're continuously dealing with this almost every year. You know, something like this is taking place here in the U.S. And you know what stuck out to me was just the ambiguous response that the officers said as to justify the killing. Like it was a dynamic situation. Like that's super vague, first off, because it's like you guys are trained policemen. You know, you're supposed to be training for these situations. Now, I don't know the full story if let's see, Ahmaud Brooks had like a weapon or anything like that. But it's just sad that we're hearing the same type of stories, you know, each year, and nothing really is happening. No one's being held accountable.
No one has been held accountable. Just like I said, if those officers think right now that they can just get off scot-free by just coming up with lies, something is really, really wrong with them.
Yeah, it makes me worried a lot again for the future. You know, I have brothers that are, you know, Black men living in America. Even you, Juwan, as my cousin, and Jalen as my boyfriend. Like, it makes me worried every day. When y'all go out in public, like, could somebody suspect or see what you're doing as a dynamic situation? You know what I'm saying? It's scary. It's really scary. Or even, you know, even as a Black woman, you know, with the death of Breonna Taylor, like, can I even be sitting in my home watching television before someone comes bursting in and accuses me of something that I never did, and then my life is over? It just goes to show the value that Black lives hold in the eyes of law enforcement, and honestly reflective in the eyes of this country. It's sad.
Yeah, it really is. And I think Kamala Harris last year brought up a really, really good point on Twitter. And I forgot his name, but he was, I think, 21 years old when he was killed. I forgot his name. If anyone remembers his name, you can either
put it in the comments, or, you know,
or put in the comments or put in the description. But he was killed, I think, April of last year. For having an air freshener in his car. And
isn't it crazy that so many Black people were killed that we can't even name all of them? Like, even just that is like.
Let me try to look up his name.
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Joanne. But
you're good.
What was before you look it up? What was Kamala Harris's? What was her tweet? Do you remember?
Yeah, her tweet said, "Thoughts and prayers are not enough. We still need answers." Like, just like what happened in Uvalde Elementary School when Stephen Kerr, I believe, I hope, he was a coach for the Warriors.
Steve Kerr.
Steve
Kerr. Thank you, Jalen. Steve Kerr said that he's tired of moments of silence, condolences, thoughts and prayers, and they're not enough. That goes to the same situation when an unarmed African American person gets killed unfairly for no fucking reason. They're like, we need changes. Like, we can't just say thoughts and prayers without action and expect different results at all. We really cannot do that.
No, that was 100% the truth. Like, period.
I agree.
Oh, and I think and let me see if I can find his name. Justice for. I'm trying to find his name. But I do know that he was killed for having an air freshener in his car. Daunte Wright.
Wow.
Yeah, Daunte Wright was also an African American who was killed unfairly at the hands of police for having an air freshener. And Kamala Harris did said prayers are not enough, and prayers are not enough. Excuse me. And I don't remember the rest of the tweet, but she did say that his family deserves answers.
100%. Honestly, this is going to be a really loaded question. It's going to be a deep one. But why do we think that this keeps happening? In fact, this might even be a good question for another podcast or another topic, another time that we all get together and talk. But I would be really interested too, for everyone that's listening, everyone that's tuned in, whether you're tuning in with YouTube, whether you're tuning in with just the podcast through our various podcast media. What if you could just take a moment? I feel like this is a question that everyone should be asking themselves, their friends. This needs to be discussed with family members. This is a kind of
absolutely 1,000,000%.
Yeah, like at dinner. Why? We should always be asking ourselves why when something like this atrocious takes place. Why? Because that's the only way we're going to be able to get to the root of the problem and address it, right? And so this is a super loaded question, because I know even my thoughts right now, thinking about why, that it's just so deep. But I encourage everyone listening. These are conversations that need to be had. So why do y'all think things like this continue to happen? If you are
definitely talk to your family members, definitely talk to your friends.
Yeah, and if you're tuning in on YouTube, feel free to leave it in the comments. Even we want to keep our comments as friendly to everyone as possible. So, right, respectful. That's the correct term, is respectful. So we encourage y'all to answer the question, and as respectfully as possible, but also as honestly as possible. So yeah, talk to your friends, talk to your family.
Yeah. Moving forward, if Dylan and Lonnie are okay with it.
Yes.
Moving forward, it looks like this past month, Housewife of Beverly Hills and former co-host of The Real Daytime, Garcelle Beauvais, took to her social media platforms to defend her son, Jax, after he was receiving racist comments from the fans of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills over feuds with Lisa, Rena, Erica Jane, and Diana Jenkins. We will not read the comments that Jax received out of respect, but what we will tell you is that these comments are from trolls. Beauvais tweeted, quote, "I'm usually a very strong woman. I've been raised to be strong. My life has taught me to be strong. But when it comes to my kids, it hurts. It's not okay." According to an article from page 6, regardless of the beef between Rena and Beauvais, the woman managed to get their message across, as Rena also came to Beauvais' defense. Bravo has also issued a statement tweeting, quote, "We are shocked and appalled at the social comments directed at Garcelle's son. We urge our viewers and social followers alike to refrain from targeting our cast and their families with harmful rhetoric." I'm going to be 1,000,000 with you guys right now. As a fan of Garcelle being a co-host of The Real, I can't imagine the hurt that Garcelle and her son have to go through after finding out about these awful comments. What is your reaction when finding out about what her and her son had to go through, and what do you think social media companies should do to keep this inexcusable behavior from happening, just like those comments that Jax received?
Yeah, they should. I mean, it's a super sad situation, especially being a child and being a little bit more emotional. Like if you're reading negative comments, especially if they're racist, it has you asking so many questions to your parents and whatnot. I think platforms should just remove the comment section
1,000,000%.
because
1,000,000%.
there are so many people who could just, not have their identity on YouTube. They'll create these little weird, little spammy profiles to where they can say anything. No one can backtrace or trace who's behind their typing all that, with all the racist comments and whatnot. So it's just a way for people to put other people down. Insecurities. All that stuff. They're portraying that in the comments as well. So I think they should just probably take the comment section off as a whole. Because people don't really have any filter. They can hide behind the profiles and say whatever they want to say. And that's just, that's the truth.
Definitely. And then additionally, there's no, because of these spam accounts, these random no-named accounts that can say whatever they want, it makes it extremely hard to have any accountability for that, right? There's no way that we can, especially if it's like hundreds or thousands of comments, if they are all negative, there's no way that can be settled or addressed really, because of just the ambiguity with who's actually behind it. One person could have 3 accounts and all be saying something negative.
Exactly,
right?
and you mentioned that really well, Lonnie. Like, there, most of the time there'll be like just one person, just one, who will like create a bunch of like accounts. That person can like create a bunch of accounts to pretend that this person comes from another person, but in reality, those comments are just all from that one person. And I think that's really, really, really annoying and really, really disgusting for someone to pretend to be those, to impersonate those. I don't know how to put into words, but pretend to like be that one person and that other person alone. So when it comes to Garcelle's situation, I really cannot imagine how she felt when receiving those comments, because just like any other parent, they're doing their absolute hardest to raise their child. And I'm gonna be honest, if that was my mom, if that was something between me and my mom, she would absolutely go nuts right now. She really would.
Right. No, I totally agree with you. These kids are innocent, and now they have to ask questions, and now the parents probably have to explain racism to them holistically before they wanted to. They may want to wait in the future in order to bring out those comments in the knowledge of what racism is. So it's just truly unfortunate. However, that also brings up another question. Is like, all right, well, how old should you be in order to be on social media, have your own account?
Exactly.
So there's a lot of factors that are into play, in this situation. So, but as far as them being called, racist remarks or, have racist comments towards them, I do think that that's truly unfortunate. It's not, I've been in positions to where I've heard someone say it's a racist remarks to me or someone else that I knew, and if I'm hearing it and I fit the description of what the racist is portraying, then I feel a certain way as well. Like, so it's very frustrating. It's I don't know, I've said frustrating a lot, but it's the only word I could seem to even use in this scenario.
Any final thoughts, Lonnie?
First, I want to say I'm so sorry, y'all. If y'all heard any like dogs barking in the background, my neighbors have some very adorable doggies, so please forgive that. Okay. But in terms of any last comments on this, I thought Jalen did raise a good point about like how old, what. I mean, of course, this will vary from person to person how they feel about it. So it's not really, and different people, deserve to have control over how they want their child to explore or use social media. And, it is an interesting conversation to have around, age and social media use. We've seen other celebrities come into conflicts with age and social media use. Some popular celebrities like the Kardashians, they've even had problems come up with their, younger children using social media and exposing things that they may not have wanted exposed, or, opening conversations that they didn't feel was appropriate for their child to be having. And so, I don't want this to sound at all like I'm blaming the victim here. The victim obviously is still Garcelle and her family, obviously. However, it does raise a good question about like age and social media use.
Yeah. I also want to apologize on my behalf as well if their viewers are watching this on YouTube and they see my roommate coming in out of the room twice. I do apologize in advance for that as well.
Yeah, we're all just, we're living normal lives. So we have other things going on.
Yeah.
out of our control. So yeah, sorry y'all. Yeah. Sorry, watch.
Yeah, it's like Zoom life. I mean, what can you fucking expect?
This is the nature of our podcast. It's what it is. It's, it's real cut. Nothing.
Okay. All right, but back to on a more serious note, though.
Okay.
This was a super interesting story. A great topic to bring up, Joanne. Thanks for bringing it to the conversation. Racism is completely unacceptable. No matter who it's being, it's just unacceptable, period. I don't need to say nothing else besides that. Racism.
You're not going to get off scot-free with it. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So, I'm sending out positive vibes, and healing for Garcelle's family, definitely in this case.
Garcelle.
Yeah.
We're sending her wishes at this time.
Yeah, definitely. Racism, unacceptable.
Yes.
For sure. And I guess that will bring us, we transition, that'll bring us to our last topic of the day. This is another heavy hitter, everyone. So I hope, just to put out a warning to be prepared. It looks like the dark truth on Nickelodeon has continued to be exposed over the past month. According to Glamour, rumors have been swirling for years about misconduct, both on and off the sets of some of the hit shows, as the conversations has been exposed in former Nickelodeon co-star Jeanette McCurdy's new memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died. The memoir consists of her details of the extensive emotional and psychological control and abuse at the hands of her late mother, in addition to repetitive, manipulative, and predatory persons on the set of iCarly and Sam and Cat. An article from Rolling Stone claimed that Zoe 101 alumni Alexa Nicholas, who played Nicole in the first 2 seasons of the show, gathered outside of the studio's office in Burbank on August 25th, along with almost 30 protesters in relation to these issues. Nicholas claimed, I didn't feel safe around Dan Schneider. Every time he came on set, my body got extremely tense. Later on in season 2, he and a bunch of executives made me cry in a room alone.
Oh my God.
And this brings up the fact that she had an awful experience on set. And the creators of the show did absolutely nothing about it in accordance with Instagram live stream. This, like I said, is another heavy hitter. I couldn't believe this when I first heard what was going on, and I still can't believe it. I honestly, it's heart-wrenching, mind-blowing, and disgusting. But enough, with my feedback. What are your reactions to this when you found out that this was like the dark past? Well, maybe not dark past, but dark truth of Nickelodeon.
I do have one question about it. I'm curious to know how Dan Schneider got away. I'm curious to know how Dan Schneider was given, I think, around $7 million after he and Nickelodeon parted ways? I'm curious to know that, because I had no idea that all of these actors and actresses had to go through this trauma. Like, I think we didn't even know about this when we were kids watching the shows, and when this is when, before I even met Alani, me, Jalen, Kendall, Terrell, and Joseph, we were like really young kids watching iCarly and Victoria's and Sammy and all that stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so interesting. And then to actually learn from this now, it's like really, really like just, I can't even put into words right now. Like the fact that someone such as Dan Schneider could be so creepy and very like evil. Like, yeah. I can't even believe I also can't believe I'm hearing this right now. Like, I had no idea they were going through this until now. And I think one of the things that I've noticed when Jeanette McCurdy was on Sam and Cat, I think she was giving Jeanette McCurdy, I think she was giving hush money to not Jeanette McCurdy. Excuse me if I'm like full of words today. Excuse me if I'm like full of words today. I'm just getting everything prepared. Oh boy. One thing that really shocked me the most is when Jeanette McCurdy was on Nickelodeon, and they said, and Jeanette said that Nickelodeon offered her $300,000 in hush money to not talk publicly about her experience on the show. And I'm curious to know too. I'm curious to know if that amount of money, over $100,000, was also in hush money. I'm curious to know that too, because I'm just like really, really speechless at this moment. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I still enjoy those shows. I still enjoy those shows. I'm probably going to get a lot of cap for this, but I really still enjoy those shows, regardless of the fact that Dan Schneider has been this creepy producer, and with the foot fetish also. And I just really think that I really don't know the reason why Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider parted ways. I'm not God. I'm not the CEO of Nickelodeon, so I really don't know the real reason. But my point to this is that it really isn't that surprising that Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider parted ways in that matter.
Yeah, it feels as if Nickelodeon parted ways to kind of more so save themselves, because, if they still have that attachment to him, that's more so their overall brand. So, they get sued. Maybe Nickelodeon isn't a thing anymore. Like, this is how serious it is. Offering Jeanette McCurdy $300,000, that shows that they are desperate. Like,
absolutely,
they're offering you $300,000, $400,000. You should know that you have leverage.
Yeah, I do want to point out one thing. From what I can remember, she did refuse that offer.
Yeah, she refused.
That's what I can remember. As she should.
Exactly. So her refusing it, which was a smart thing to do. Now,
absolutely.
As far as Dan Schneider, I didn't know, like watching Nickelodeon and watching all my favorites like iCarly, Victorious, and just to see that those actors went through weird predatory phases with the director Dan Schneider. Like, he literally, from what I've heard from other artists based off of like the interviews, sometimes sexually harassed, the actors or actresses or actors. He had this weird thing with foot fetish. That's why they have the foot emblem on Nickelodeon. Like, and if you go back to their old clips, you see a lot of their the episodes have a lot to do with like feet, like someone's biting on their foot or putting their foot.
Right. And
so he had a foot fetish too, and he showed that throughout all the episodes, everything he created. Also, not only that, it's just so many things went wrong. Now that I look at it and look at what was going on, even how he portrayed Black people. Like, Black people always was the stupid, angry person who couldn't keep their cool. Like, that was literally every side character that he ever had. You go back to Tebow with the donuts from iCarly. You go back to Drake and Josh, the manager, I forgot her name, but she always had a little attitude, and she had little bipolar disorders and stuff like that. And that stuff is just subtly thrown into to those episodes. So it's just it's weird. It's like, all right, who do you trust at this point? You never know who's a predator.
1,000,000%, 1,000,000%. And I'm gonna let Alani speak her point to this and afterwards. But the fact I started finding out that Alexa Nicholas was on Zoe 101. I had no idea that she was a character on Zoe 101. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you heard, but Alexa Nicholas had to go through a lot of bullying from her co-stars, especially Jamie Lynn Spears.
You're talking about she had the glasses. She played the smart character, the nerd.
No, that's Erin Sanders. I'm talking about Jamie Lynn Spears, Britney Spears' sister.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with her, but she was going through the bullying.
Yeah,
not Jamie Lynn Spears, but I forgot her name again already.
Alexa Nicholas.
Alyssa Nicholas, yeah.
Alexa.
My bad. I'm so sorry, guys, but yeah, Alexa Nicholas. Oh man, yeah. I also heard about that as well, man. That's
yeah, and the one thing that really really got me the most is when Jamie Lynn Spears' sister, Britney Spears, invited her to the trailer, and then she started snapping at Alexa Nicholas. Like, she was like yelling at her, making sure that nothing came out of her career. And I think she did apologize then when she started to expose Jamie Lynn Spears in her new book. But I was really sick to my stomach when finding out, and I know I'm not the only one offended by this. And then Dan Schneider and these other executive producers who are supposed to help her at the situation, but did absolutely the opposite. Dan, I think, from my understanding, Dan claimed that told Alexa that the show is called Zoe 101 and not Nicole 101, and that he concurred with Britney that maybe she wouldn't be in this industry and that she needed to toughen up. And then after that, she just left the show. I had absolutely no idea that she was going through all of this until just recently. And I can't even imagine what Alexa was going through in her childhood, especially after being such a young actress who wants to get along.
I think that there's just a running trend, regardless, not to dismiss this in any case, but also just to add additionally, regardless of which network these child actors are on, there's always this underlying theme of unaddressed abuse, even or trauma that they end up enduring, right? If we think of a lot of like even the child actors and actresses that come from Disney Channel, I was gonna like that hasn't been, or at least I haven't been privy, or like I haven't looked up or done my due diligence and research on it. But just even thinking about like what could have gone down with Disney Channel, actresses and actors, and how they just all the trauma that they go through, and
I was going to bring that
they face from even their parents exploiting them, especially I believe it's Jeanette McCurdy's in her memoir, she talks a little bit about that exploitation with her mother, and so like I can only imagine that also being mirrored across other networks, like why is there this trend of child actresses and actors being abused? Like,
and you about to mention something, and you mentioned something too, Alani, that this goes to Disney Channel as well, but nothing too similar to Nickelodeon, but that these young actresses like Bella Thorne, Miley Cyrus, so many, Zac Efron, Vanessa Hudgens.
Yeah, I believe Britney Spears was even on. She used to be on Disney Channel, right? Britney Spears.
I believe so, but she, from what I know, she was part of the Mickey Mouse Club. And can I just say something real quick? I'm gonna let you speak, but can I just say something real quick? It's similar to what Nickelodeon go through, but Disney Channel have this strict guidelines. Like, I can understand, the clothing attire, kind of like the one we're wearing right now. But the one thing I don't understand though is the stalking, the body dysmorphia, the instruction of having to be in good shape and have clean diets. And I even watched this one video about it where I believe Raven Simone was told to like bleach her skin. I don't know the full details of it, but that's pretty much all I know. And so, and I remember when I first started in Disney Channel, I was like, oh my god, I want to be on Disney Channel. There's always been a dream of me to be on a Disney Channel until I recently like find out that these young actors had to like go through like so much strict guidelines, you know. And I really, you know, I mean, and my mom told, and I even told this to my mom that I wish I could be on, and I thought I was going to be on Disney Channel, but she told me that I knew what to do. I knew right from wrong, you know. And but the one thing I will not tolerate is someone trying to. But if I was on Disney Channel, the one thing that my mom would not play around is when it comes to stalking me, and to you know, it's always about trying to save the character's image, and I can understand that. I can absolutely understand that. You know, it's Disney Channel. It's Disney. If kids can watch this. But at the same time, I really don't think it's that necessary for someone to stalk that Disney Channel actor. It really isn't that necessary.
Yeah, it's terrifying, honestly. You know, I think that the other part that plays into it, like one, it's a trend to see this happen across different networks to childhood actors and child actresses and actors. But I think a big part that plays into that is like the power dynamic, right? Like these are children, and they're being directed by, and they're being managed and directed by adults. And that power dynamic between being a kid and having an adult tell you something or say something to you, anything, you know, whether you imagine all the adult figures you've ever had in your life, right? Like teachers, coaches, parents, etc. There's a certain level of like respect. There's a certain power dynamic. Like kids are supposed to listen to adults. Kids are supposed to do what adults say. And so even with the child actors, knowing right from wrong, it puts you in a really uncomfortable and sticky situation, because these are people that you're supposed to be able to depend on. They're supposed to be taking care of you. They're supposed to be teaching you, mentoring you, helping you to, you know, to just say your lines better or do your role. And instead, that power dynamic allows them to use their power to abuse you. And when you're so young and innocent, you might not even know that that's what's happening.
Yeah, and like I can definitely understand, you know, I can hear, just like I said, I understand, you know, a few things about the guidelines. Having appropriate dress attire. I think that's one of them. Being more respectful. Having child appropriate music, you know, because in one of those, if you work with music, then it has to be like child friendly. I can understand that. But the one thing I will not understand though is how, and I think this is one of the examples that I watched. Miley Cyrus is doing a photo shoot, and in one of those, it can be seen. She was posing, showing the skin of her back, and Disney did not like this at all. And Miley then issued an apology, which was probably pushed by Disney, saying that she did admit that she was wrong of trying to destroy the character's images, because she played Miley Stewart, also known as Hannah Montana. So, yeah, I really don't think Disney should stalk. I really think Disney shouldn't have stalked those characters and put this situation, because what is this that we're doing outside of Disney that bad to you?
Right. Yeah. No. Definitely. Jalen, what are your thoughts?
You know, it's pretty. I don't know. I also heard another topic or another headline with the Olsen twins as well. You know, I don't know if they were probably like the first real. I don't want to say first real actors that came out and pretty much talked about what they experienced in the movie industry as well, entertainment industry, with
Full House.
With Bob Saget incidents about how just grown men will come up to them at the age of 12 trying to take pictures and touch all on them and stuff like that. This is prevalent. Yeah, it's prevalent amongst this is prevalent amongst the entertainment industry. And it's like, now you have to, it's kind of weird, but in a sense, what a child predator, what their profession would want to be around, like, or in, like directors, or like, or if it's directing for Disney Channel, it's so hard. You don't know who to trust. You really just kind of like, you don't want to just say, oh, you look like a child predator, I'm not going to, you don't fit this role for this job. It's just hard. It's kind of like, it's super difficult because people can hide who they are truly, and then all of a sudden, bam, expose it at any time. So it's just sad, all of the stories that we've heard, as of recent.
Definitely. I think the dark truth of Nickelodeon is the dark truth of many networks.
Right.
I think that's kind of what it comes down to. I think that I hope that Jeanette McCurdy's, I hope that her testimony, as well as Alexa Nicholas, I hope that both their testimonies and all the other testimonies that have come out recently, over the past 10 years. And so I hope that incites courage for other people who may have been victim of this to share their stories as well. I hope that the more testimonies that are told, the closer we can get to completely uncovering this darkness and shedding all the lightness on it and getting to the core and getting rid
and
systems to deter this from happening ever again.
Because we always say, what happens in the dark will be revealed to light.
It will. Thank you, John. It will. Period. So I hope that these people's trauma and their stories are not being told in vain. I think that this needs to be addressed, and that
me too.
This is another one of those conversations that needs to be had. We could go on for hours talking about this, honestly, especially because it also happens even outside of child, outside of the experience of child actors. Even we've seen, and heard about adult actors this happening, and now movie directors, and they are being held accountable, or at least the stories are being told and are being exposed about what they've done to a lot of female actresses and stuff that have suffered from abuse like this, adult actresses. And so, yeah, we could go on for hours and hours talking about how crazy this is. It's the world. I know it has good and bad, but sometimes when we see the bad, it just makes me shake my head even harder.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, Disney Channel and Nickelodeon are the two networks that I know. I don't know the rest, but all I know is Disney Channel and Nickelodeon.
Right, and who knows how many more?
Absolutely.
Full House was on ABC Family or something. So it goes across networks. It goes, like I said, even to adult actresses and actors as well that have suffered from this type of abuse. So yeah, if y'all know any other networks and you're tuned in on YouTube, drop it in the comments. We'd love to check that out so that we can investigate and do further research in that as well. Anybody that's listening, but yeah, these stories. I'm so glad that Juwan, that you've created and cultivated this really welcoming environment with the Bubble Chat to be able to have these discussions. It's really important that we as people are given safe spaces to have these discussions. And so I definitely want to give you a shout out for that. Shout out to Juwan.
Thank you.
This is Juwan's dream that has come to vision as the Bubble Chat. And so Jalen and I guess I should mostly speak for myself. It's been an honor to be a co-host of this first episode. I'm really happy that we got to talk about all of our topics. I'm super proud with how it's turned out so far. I hope everyone that's listening is enjoying it, because I'm definitely enjoying spending this time with Juwan and Jalen, for sure.
Thank you. But yeah, that is all the time we have, and of course we want to thank every single one of you who has shown support to us since we first announced the Bubble Chat. We know things are going to be looking a little bit different moving forward, but we will absolutely do our best to accept, to just continue to inspire you guys however we can, and we really just we're really just in gratitude for all of the support that you've been showing us, all of your patience and your understanding of what we're going through. Our next episode is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to go into detail, so do be on the lookout for that. Yeah, I'm really, really excited for what the future holds for us. So as always, if you're new to this podcast, don't forget to subscribe, maybe leave like a review. Do of course keep your comments respectively and friendly. And also if you enjoy our video version of this episode that will be uploaded to our the Bubble Chat YouTube channel soon, don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell so you will always be notified when we upload it. But yeah, that's all the time we have. And until next time, you guys, peace out.
Yeah.